So I've recently been playing a game called Golf vs. Zombies, and although I've had fun with some aspects of it, other decisions do drag the game down. Would I recommend it though? Well, you start the game off by talking to a man named Billy, the owner of a golf course that, like the rest of this world, is infested with zombies. Billy gives you your first trip into the course free, since business is slow on account of all his patrons getting ripped limb from limb whenever they go in. At this point, you can choose to go to a practice range where you can test your golfing skills on immovable targets, or you can jump right into the fray, which is actually what I recommend. The practice mode with still targets that don't react like the zombies will is truthfully just a waste of time. You can't truly feel the effect of the special balls there either, so even in terms of trying those out, the mode is practically pointless. Mostly only good for honing your aim, but since the circumstances are so lax, it's not going to help when you're actually surrounded by zombies drawing ever closer near. When you get your first course, you're granted with a bare bones tutorial that tells you to do things but not what buttons to hit in order to do them. The game isn't holding your hand, but since it seems like it's trying to, it's just making the effort feel half-baked and kinda lazy. Once you get into the actual game though, this is when things finally start to improve. The action of hitting zombies with golf balls is a lot of fun and strangely addicting as well. Hit registration can feel a bit off at times, but nothing too nerve-wracking given the levels are small, so it's not much of a loss. You do lose all the caps you currently had on your person, which does of course suck, but you can practically gain that same amount in only a few minutes anyway. There are also ways to store those caps into the bank during the course as well that we'll get into later. You have to take wind speed into account. It's not a simulator level of change though, so don't stress about it too much. As long as you pay attention to your environment as well, none of the rocks, water, or other possible hazards should really be much of a problem. The problems are the zombies. There are normal zombies that can be taken down in a single blow, with extra credits if it's with a headshot, as well as zombies like this buckethead looking sucker that takes 2 blows. My biggest issue with zombies like the buckethead is that the bucket protects his entire body somehow, and also gets damaged no matter where on his body that you hit. Is it a nitpick? Sure, but it's also a missed opportunity. A big part of gameplay is risk, reward, and the feeling of accomplishment. If headshots net you more spending money, then you would be more likely to take the risk in order to gain that reward, which would give a sense of accomplishment a rush whenever it happens, right? If they made it so body shots took the zombie down instantly at the cost of the headshot reward bonus, then some players would be more likely to try and hit the head regardless. Knock that hat off and get that bonus, especially if the bonus is higher for the buckethead than when compared to the regular zombie. Even if it means letting the zombies get closer and closer and the tension get higher, the reward would always be a question of worth, making you, the player, have to make quick decisions based on balancing what you want with what you need, and result in both more deaths as well as more ways to play. Aside from the zombies though, there are other things on the map to interact with. Some you have to buy, so we'll talk about that in a bit, but some that you don't. First of all, there are explosives that can be used to blow your zombie pursuers to Kingdom Come. I try not to use them too often, it's just my preferred playstyle in most games with explosives if we're being honest, but when I do utilize them, they are pretty fun, even if I personally would like some bigger explosions scattered about as well, but I digress. Second, there are chests that contain coins. They don't count as a hit or whatever it's actually called. Mine's going blank here, but they are definitely worth the risk every time that you see them. Never been disappointed when risking my life to open one, even if I'm not great at hitting them when they have the high ground. Lastly, there are mailboxes, which contain the actual story. They have pieces of letters that showcase the zombies' version of a religion and may help you figure out how to defeat them forever. Only the first letter actually gets read as a part of the clue, I believe. Then after that, you have to find most of them before you can know what the others say. It's not an every time I find one kind of situation, which is kinda disappointing given the possibilities they could have used when showing us the letters were practically endless. I thought the first one was pretty funny and was super disappointed when I delivered a second one and there wasn't anything read off of it. It was another missed opportunity that would have served to help keep the game enjoyable outside of the core gameplay. When you return from the golf course, you can access the store, which is sadly where another complaint of mine lies. The balancing for the prices in this store's economy is insane, given how many coins you actually get per course. Let me give you an idea of what I mean. Upgrades, customization items, and courses can all be bought and are permanent once paid for. The courses start at a decent price and climb the more you play, but given you may make more money in the new courses than the old ones, this does make sense. The upgrades are things like safes being placed around the map where you can store caps in case of an untimely demise. Sometimes you won't even encounter the safes, but when you do, it's definitely worth the price when you're in games where you're taking more risks. A drone is an upgrade as well. I don't particularly use it even though I should for trophies, but it can make you aware of important things on the map ahead, including where zombies are hiding, which is helpful to strategically plan your next move. You can upgrade what it tags as important, like chests, as well as the amount of gas that it can hold so it lasts longer, each for a rather decent amount as well. The radar is an upgrade that shows where zombies are whenever you are surrounded, so you aren't taken by surprise. It had the potential to make the game a little too easy, but since it doesn't tell you what kind of zombies are around you, it balances out quite nicely for me. Although 1000 to unlock things like the safe does seem a bit much, given there will be times when they aren't even utilized. Since they can save you money in a pinch, they make up for it in the end. Same with the drone in terms of planning the safest route, or the route with the most zombies, and most ways to make caps along the trail. The last upgrade, however, jumps to 3000 caps, and I still haven't even bought it at the time of recording because of it. Having such a large jump kinda just turned me off, especially since the price of something else that may have a more important effect also needs taken into consideration. Those things are consumable balls, the power balls that I brought up earlier: explosive, freeze, and sniper. I'll put the prices for these consumables on screen right now. That's how much it costs for 2 balls in these categories. That's kinda ridiculous, I do have to say, especially since in order to progress the game, you need to buy maps, and in order to experience all the game has to offer, you need to buy all the upgrades. It feels like a way to artificially increase the length of the game, and given there were gameplay ways that could have done that, while also making the game more enjoyable instead of locking enjoyable things behind a grind, like the Buckethead example I brought up earlier, it's a dang shame they went a route like this. This could have been a good turn off your brain type of game. The core of the gameplay is honestly pretty good, it's just the grindy padding that drags it down for me. Length is not as important as enjoyment or replayability, and I'd rather replay the game with the upgrades unlocked than slog through it in order to eventually unlock them, which you will unlock it all by like the 10th level or so, I'm sure. It just feels so samey up to that point that you should make sure to play it in small bursts instead of take a day to play the game. The pacing of unlocks is too spread out for me, then when everything is unlocked, it's hard to find the motivation to keep playing. More unlocks that affect gameplay that are easier to get would have helped to offset that. Maybe be able to upgrade the safes to see more in levels. Maybe a way to upgrade the chests so they hold more money. Maybe an upgrade to the club so that it could shoot further ranges at the expense of accuracy, and a slower drawback speed, stuff like that. Having multiple clubs with multiple swing styles alone would have really helped in the longevity, since you would be compelled to try them out and see which one is best for you. Same can be applied to the golf cart. Make one faster but harder to go left or right. Make one that goes left or right quickly, but you lose more caps when hitting obstacles. Ones with more durability, you lose less caps, but also move far slower so you gain less as well. Again, risk reward. No complaints on the appearance stuff, sure they are pricey too, but to each their own if they want to go that route. I'm looking to buy a dad blame cowboy hat, so take that as you will. I also forgot to bring up there is a golf cart minigame before you can get to the course from where Billy resides. I kinda mentioned it earlier, but I never really brought up what it was. You can drive yourself, play the minigame, make some money, and move on, paying 50 caps, which is more than you'll usually get in the minigame, and have Billy drive you, or you can pay 100 some caps and he'll still drive you, but he'll also take the zombies off the course, and then you can just play a normal golf game. Which is funny to me since they are a way to make that money back back, but if there's still chests, then it could be worth it for a rather quick grind. I just haven't tested that theory out yet. It does go against the lore of the world though, since it gets explained at the beginning that he doesn't have many customers and is not making much money because of all of the zombies on the course. So if he could just course correct and take those zombies out, then why the heck hasn't homie done that? It's stupid. I don't know why they did that and not just made this a separate mode altogether, but what do I know, right? I'm just some random reviewer on the internet. So yeah, it's not a great game by any means, but given the cheap $10 price point and the fact that it is fun for an hour at the very least, I can recommend it to whoever is even slightly intrigued by the concept and have some money to spare. If you really enjoy the single player and have joy in what I didn't, then there were 17 or 18 different courses I think, so you have a lot of gameplay to keep the ball rolling. Plus it supports up to 4 players playing, even if y'all just pass a single controller around, which I thought was a nice touch that we definitely don't see much of anymore. That kind of couch co-op alone does really help this game out in terms of whether or not I would recommend it. And when mixed with the cheap price point, it would be really good for a budget experience if you can't really go out of your way and afford more controllers so that all your kids or your whole family can play a game together. None of the complaints I had tarnished the core zombie killing weirdness that I did happen to enjoy, but hopefully some of what I said can help you make a decision as well as help the developers in terms of the games they create in the future. Thank you for the review, Key, it really means a lot, and I'd love to review more of your games if my honesty in how I feel didn't immediately turn you off from ever working with me again. I hope it didn't, but for more news, reviews, and whatever we choose, stay tuned to Nerdsfeed. Have a great day, thank you.